We're
And
live.
we are live.
Good morning, everyone. It's the one, the only Senor Silverback himself, coming to you live with my main man, the master of the flux capacitor. And we'll be talking to you. And I'm getting sidetracked here, CJ. I got construction going on outside, so excuse me if I sound a little distracted. They're doing some sort of excavation right outside of my office, so it's hilarious. Anyway, you can check us out at roguemoney.net. Follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money and Rogue Money on Facebook, DTube, Steam it, and everywhere else you want us to be with podcasts, the whole nine yards, the whole kit and caboodle. We're there, like frosting through a strudel. And you can also check out our sponsors, RemainCom.net. RemainCom.net, whether you want to surf the web anonymously with the gold USB or you need 600K to make it A-OK, RemainCom.net is the place where you can get your secured banking, make sure yourself is protected, and you're unleviable and unstoppable. And with that being said, also check out their credit cleaning options. If you take your score from a 500 to an 800, let these guys do it for you. Don't freak out. Remain calm. With that being said, CJ, what's crack-a-lackin'?
Hey, good morning, V. Happy Halloween to you, to our listeners. Hopefully, everyone's getting ready for some trick or treaters. If you do celebrate Halloween, I know a lot of people don't. But we do in my household. So we're excited for tonight.
Yes, yes, yes. I'm excited for tonight. I will be dressed up as Princess Elsa of Arendelle, and I will be frolicking through the streets. So if you see a giant hairy gorilla with a Princess of Arendelle Elsa outfit, do not be alarmed. It is only I. And hopefully, this time around, the animal control agents will not try to shoot me with tranquilizers as they did last year, CJ. So, this is why I'm donning the princess because I am a transgendered gorilla this Halloween.
I'll tell you a really quick funny story. I took my son to look for a costume, and he saw a Donald Trump costume, and
Nice.
he goes, I can't do that. And I go, why? He goes, because I would need at least two other people. And I go, what do you think? What's your idea? He goes, well, I want to go as Donald Trump. I was going to ask one of my other friends to dress as a Mexican, and then I was going to ask a third person to go as a wall.
Oh, that would be
His
brilliant.
idea for a costume.
Brilliant.
And
Brilliant.
he's not
Oh
getting
my
this from me. He
God.
doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't get this stuff from me. He's not advocating anything. For the wall, I allow him to completely form his own opinions.
Yeah,
Based upon.
at least he's got that conservative libertarian mind, bro. See, that's Generation Z, bro. Generation Z is the savior of humanity, bro. I'm telling you. Generation Z. These kids have it.
Yeah, all different types of thoughts. Usually, when they ask me, regarding political things, I tell them to do their own research. I'm like, go Google stuff, go read on your own, and then form your own opinion, and come talk to me, and then we can discuss it or we can debate it, one of the two. But
Yeah.
yeah, but anyway, yeah. So it was just kind of funny to have that conversation, and it kind of chimed into everything that's going on with the news and talking about. I tell you, one thing is for sure, V, is that it's kind of really exposing that even though it was not related to the administration, just in regards to the amount of corruption and how this works, whether it's the Democratic side or the Republican side, I'm seeing some pretty staunch Democrats come out and say, especially with breaking news that Tony Podesta, right, he resigned from his
Ooh.
consulting group. Both people come out saying, you know what, both parties are just as corrupt as each other, and even though it has nothing to do with the election results, and that's the truth. So it's good to see this stuff being exposed, it coming out, just how corrupt our political process is, and so be it.
Yeah. Absolutely, man. At least wake up to that. Let's get off the footballing of each other's political parties where everybody picks a side like it's a sporting team. And we need to get out of that mentality and just recognize the whole damn thing is corrupt from foundation to topmost stone. And I think real liberals should reclaim real liberalism. Okay, not this crazy left wing, fanatical nonsense, but actual liberalism. I mean, there's one time that leftists, I mean, not leftists, let's not call them leftists, but liberals actually fought for causes and real social justice, not the type of identity politics that we see today. If they get back towards it, it'll be a very good thing. Anyway,
Yeah, because there's a lot of bigger things that are happening, V, and if we could put look aside to those distractions, those things are occurring, and we continue to read, to hear about Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency space, blockchain, the decentralization of everything, including the banking system, which I'm truly excited about.
Dude, absolutely. Absolutely. And CJ, Japan just put the kibosh on anybody who says Bitcoin's going to be banned by governments. Japan just wrecked that entire concept, bro. And why is it significant? Well, Japan is the third largest economy on the planet, world's second biggest bond market. Um, they're not to be taken lightly. This is a serious play. And when you have a serious player like Japan doing a move like this, the whole Bitcoin will be banned, by governments. But it's a meme that's put out by certain guys, even some of our colleagues and brothers in arms, so to speak. Again, we can agree to disagree, but this is the reality of it. Either you wake up to the crypto. The only thing that when people tell me, oh, Bitcoin's in a bubble, Bitcoin's in a bubble, I agree with Max Kaiser. And Max Kaiser, who follows the ape on Twitter, said it best. He said the only thing that's in a bubble, okay, is the ignorance towards Bitcoin. So that's the reality of it, man. And see, let's break this down. This is from our buddy Charles Hugh Smith. It's just an amazing mind. He's a great guy, Charles. Love him.
Yeah, his analytics, the way he's able to break things down, and he speaks a lot of truth here in his writing. And specifically, what I like about it, V, is when he talks about the market cap of the entire crypto space, right? You're looking at 170 billion, and then you take a look at that and the bigger picture of the global assets, which is estimated over $500 trillion. And like his notes list here, that's a tenfold. Even if cryptos went tenfold, that'd be at 1.7 trillion, and that'd just be a tiny blip in the global asset marketplace. So this whole nonsense regarding, regulatory and them cracking down, they would have to shut down the entire internet, which is almost, if that would happen, that probably would bring out the pitchforks and everything else. So I see a move more towards state sponsored cryptos, trying to get people, maybe for utility companies or social services, whether it's your water, those types of utilities, your utilities, maybe they do some type of tokenization to pay for those things. But to just sit there and say that there's going to be a massive regulatory move to shut this space down is just complete nonsense.
Absolutely correct, my man. And here's the deal. The deal is this. Anybody who says that, the U.S. is simply going to browbeat, the U.S. is going to use its influence and its power to stop all the adopters of Bitcoin, that's a bunch of hogwash. What have we seen the last several years, CJ, of quote-unquote U.S. influence and U.S. power? What do you see? You see it coming to nothing. You see it going nowhere. You see it, absolutely coming to naught. Okay, in the sense of, hey, you know what? No one cares about U.S. power and influence. They're not going to browbeat anybody. They didn't browbeat anybody in Syria, did they? No. See, people who have this viewpoint that the U.S. the governments are going to shut down Bitcoin. It's not the governments are going to shut down Bitcoin. They still think in an old paradigm that the U.S. is calling the shots, that Western countries are at the head of the table, and that the Western institutions like the IMF, the International Monkey Fund, headed by the International Malarkey Fund, headed by the giraffe-necked woman Christine Lagarde, or the World Bank, are calling the shots. They're still thinking that it's Wall Street and the City of London that are still calling the shots. These institutions are not calling anything except their own demise, which they don't even realize they're doing. That's the reality of it, man.
Yeah, so there's going to be some more fear-mongering coming out. We're probably going to learn potentially as of Thursday, being reported by the New York Times, V, that Jerome H. Powell is going to be assigned as the next Federal Reserve chair. Now, again, he has had a few speeches. One in particular, he delivered a speech, I believe, was it Harvard? I can't remember what specifically university it was, but he specifically talked about the cryptocurrency and quote unquote advanced cryptography could reduce vulnerability to cyber attacks, he insisted, but make it easier to hide illegal activity. To the extent we can relax strong cryptography to make it easier for authorities to monitor illegal activity, we could simultaneously weaken security. And that's exactly what they're going to talk about more and more with the cryptos, is that it's used for illicit drug trade. It's used to fund these. That's their play. And that's what they always stick to, right? Is the fear mongering, that fear that we're consistently that's forced upon us as a society, that we should fear everything, and count on the government to be there to save us.
Exactly correct. Exactly correct. So that whole concept, that whole premise just goes out the water, man. It really does.
Yeah, and just the
What's next?
whole open ledger. Yeah, to keep going. Yeah, just again, just the and he did had some positive things to say
Yeah.
about it as well, as far as the next Fed chief, as far as what potentially the blockchain could help with. So again, they will
And
see
again,
this as a move.
and dude, at the end of the day, this guy is, again, he's old hat, dude. I mean, do you think? Well, it's like, oh, Trump appoints a Bitcoin skeptic. Well, the Bitcoin Jerome Powell, okay, he's old hat. Jerome Powell knows about as much as Bitcoin, about cryptos and blockchain technologies, just about as much as Janet Yellen. Janet Yellen, who looks like a confused, petrified gerbil in every single meeting, just this perturbed look on her face, like, holy shit, what am I doing here? That's the look she has on her face. Okay. But I don't expect Powell. I don't expect any of these guys who are these baby boomers who are, 60 plus to understand. Nobody who's 60 plus seems to understand blockchain. Very few. And I do have a lot of 60 plus listeners to the show. They get it. But the majority of the peers, of those that are out there who are, north of 45, they have a very hard concept of understanding cryptos. Okay? If you understand cryptos, you're older than 40 years old, 45 years old, consider yourself lucky. Consider yourself part of the few. Consider yourself part of the enlightened ones, because your generation just doesn't get it. Just don't get it. So with Powell, it doesn't catch me by surprise, because it's a demographical reality for guys like Powell. He's looking to jockey Bitcoin. And what Powell's going to find out, CJ, is a rude awakening that governments throughout the world find out, that politicians throughout the world find out as well. It's a very rude awakening. And that is, you cannot regulate, you cannot control Bitcoin, you cannot tax cryptos. Just can't happen.
Yeah, no, and we're seeing a lot more utilization. We're seeing companies, start to accept it. We also witnessed within the past 30 days, major companies like Overstock.com. Overstock.com started doing an ICO, which a lot of people are like, oh wow, that's pretty major. I know some some individuals that are invested in Overstock, but now we're also learning that there's speculation that Amazon will also add Bitcoin to its basket of payments that they accept online. Now, Amazon's refusing to validate that, strictly saying that they cannot say so at this time, but they do have an upcoming conference call that potentially some in the Silicon Valley are stating that they will announce that they will be accepting Bitcoin as payment. So we'll see.
Yep, absolutely, my man. Absolutely. So the floodgates opening on adaptability to Bitcoin, as Amazon is officially looking to accept, and that, dude, it's going to be a big thing, because already Overstock.com accepts Bitcoin. Do they not, CJ? I mean, I
They
could be wrong.
accepted, and they did an ICO. They did their own ICO as well.
There you go. If Amazon comes on board, you're talking about a company. You're talking about a company that hires over 400,000 people. You're talking about a massive company with massive subsidiaries. People don't realize how many companies are under Amazon, man. Like, I ordered a pair of these, one of those barefoot shoes called Innovate, which is supposed to stimulate walking barefoot, because I got jacked up feet and I need something stable when I'm deadlifting. And I ordered it from Zappos. I had no idea that, it was asking me on checkout to use my Amazon Prime account. I was like, what? I had no idea that Zappos is owned by Amazon. Then I did a little search, man. Holy crap! There's like hundreds of companies that Amazon owns. Hundreds. So it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it truly is.
It appears
it's exciting. It's a very exciting time for that space fee. It's a very exciting time for the entire blockchain, the decentralization of everything that we're seeing. It's very exciting.
Yep. Absolutely, man. So no, dude, it's a game changer. Amazon adopts. Guess who else got to come along with it? Wally World. Amazon adopts Bitcoin. You know how many retailers have to do the same. Amazon's like Apple. Like for instance, like if you had an Android phone, like I do, I have every device. I'm like an OS agnostic, an operating system agnostic. I have iOS devices. My daily driver is an iPhone 8 Plus. I'm gonna hold off on the X. I'm gonna get the X for the misses. I'm just holding off on the X.
Well, I
Not
tell you
going
why
off on it
Walmart
entirely.
would be. Walmart would, because if
Well, they
they
have
can
to.
think about it this way, okay? Think about each year how much of a fight Walmart puts on Visa and MasterCard that they do not like
Yep,
paying
yep,
the
yep.
0.01%, the 2 cents right on the transaction. If
Bingo.
Walmart can pass the transaction fee to the consumer and have the
Yep.
consumer, but I'm not saying I agree with fees. Don't take this the wrong way. But if Walmart can divvy that up and think of the millions of transactions that they process, it's a no-brainer for them eventually.
Yeah, absolutely correct. You hit the nail on the head, Sage. That's a great point. And like I was saying with Amazon, when Amazon does something, other retailers react to it. Kind of like Apple. Like we've had wireless charging forever in the Android space. Apple comes out with wireless charging. Now there's going to be wireless charging pads in every single cafe, every single car, every single airport because Apple adopts it. So it's the same thing. These are certain companies that are out there that are trend-setting companies. Amazon is one of those companies. It's one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse. Okay, so you know, it's that company that when they do something, you're right, dude. You hit the nail perfectly. Why the hell would Walmart want to eat that processing fee? Let the consumer take it. They'll accept Bitcoin. Boom. Oh my God, revolution, bro, revolution. And the central bankers everywhere will literally crap themselves.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming.
It is 3D chess, man. 3D chess. It doesn't seem to be working on Persians or the
Yeah,
Russians or the
break this
Chinese
down
for that
for
matter.
us.
Yeah, man. I mean, people don't realize this, but there was actually Trump. Okay, Trump called for a secret meeting right after his UN speech, where he called Iran the biggest supporter of terror. Blah 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 blah. The old paradigm, which I know it's a negotiating tactic by Donald Trump. And I knew that because literally the next day, Trump was asking for a secret meeting with Iranian President Rouhani. And what happened? The reality is this. Okay. Um, Iran is like you hear this from the Waffle House waitress Nikki Haley all the time that Iran is the biggest supporter of terror, sanctioning Iran, sanction. The talking points, the axioms that are reminded about the Iranians, okay, is they're not they think the Iranians are like the Arabs, okay. People often forget that the Persians invented chess. Now, the biggest problem here is when you start lumping in Iran with everybody else in the Arab world. That's a problem. It's very offensive to the Iranians, to the Persians, ISIS, Al Qaeda, all this stuff. It's not only a very ignorant thing to do, it's also very stupidly dangerous because by doing that, you underestimate your enemy. And just like all empires that fall, America, what it does is it overestimates its own strength, underestimates its own weakness, and does the very opposite to its enemies. It underestimates its enemies and overestimates its own strength. Okay, and or overestimates their own enemy's weakness. It's a very dangerous thing. Now, Donald Trump needs to learn this very, very quickly. All right, because we don't want to go on a major foreign policy blunder like we've seen throughout the last several decades. The last several decades, the world and the chaos that it was formed in the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s and the early 2000s, especially in the early 2000s when this really began to become very acute, is U.S. foreign policy spelunking throughout the world that has created a massive instability. We are the problem on the world stage. We are the problem in the world stage. The worst part about it is if we took care of our own people at home, I wouldn't be so pissed off about it. But we don't take care of our people back home. We don't take care of our quote unquote men and women in uniform. We don't do any of that.
No,
Okay.
we don't. Not at
Now,
all.
over the weekend, Iran let the U.S. know, okay, that President Donald Trump approached them, okay, especially wanted to meet with President Hassan Rouhani the day after Trump made the most ignorant, stupid speech ever about Iran. I mean, literally parroting the Israeli narrative, the Zionist narrative, the Nikki Haley, the neocon narrative. And the Rouhani flatly rejected the meeting. Now, last week, Secretary of State Tillerson made a public demand of Iraq. Now, think how stupid this is as well. Making a public demand of Iraq to oust Iran's Revolutionary Guard. Because you remember, Iran's Revolutionary Guard is all of a sudden now deemed a terrorist organization by the Homeland Department. They wanted to put sanctions on the Revolutionary Guard. It's the weirdest thing in the world. Okay? Now that, so they wanted to oust Iran's Revolutionary Guard now that the war against ISIS has been won. Now, Iraq told Iraq's Tillerson, in no uncertain terms, to go stick it straight up where the sun doesn't shine. Has anyone noticed how little has been said? And CJ, you and I made mention of this. We're one of the few outlets that made mention of this as well. Nobody says anything about Turkey buying this S-400 missile defense systems from Russia. No one. I think it was picked up by Zero Hedge apart from us. That was it. Okay? Yeah, this weekend you had the NATO general made some noise about it. But here's an important NATO ally, CJ. Okay? Buying basically one of the most state-of-the-art air defense systems from the Russians. There's no retaliation from Washington that caused Turkey to change its mind about this. Nothing. Okay? This whole thing that Trump tried to do, okay, for international relations, it's not going to work here. Okay? It's not going to work here on Iran. It's not going to work on Putin and Russia. It's not going to work on China. You can't play quote-unquote 3D chess with these guys. You can't, because these are the chess masters. Okay? And when you see this, Iran is not scared. Iran is not scared of the U.S. one bit, man. They're not worried about them. They don't care about them. Their economy's completely unplugged from the dollar. Okay? And when you look at who's winning in the Middle East in terms of influence, it's Iran. It's Russia. It's China. It's not the U.S. Okay? The only thing that's losing worldwide, globally, that's falling flat, CJ, is U.S. credibility. Right? It's
right.
U.S. credibility. And because of that, you watch the energy moves that happen. Remember I said this, I think I tweeted this out, or I said that I mentioned this somewhere. I said that, hell, it was in an email to a colleague. I said, Saudi Arabia is going to come to the bargaining table when it comes to the new OPEC. And the relationship with Saudi Arabia is going to be managed. Saudi Arabia and Iran are going to be coming together and working together to deal in energy. And the whole entire relationship is going to be managed by the Russians and the Iranians. They will dictate. And that's what you see happening. So who looks like the loser? Who's really playing 3D chess here, CJ? Who's really playing 3D chess? Who's winning the world? Who's developing the world? It's China, it's Russia, it's Iran. Who's helping the emerging world, the emerging economies? China, Russia, and Iran. Where's the U.S.? Where are we? Oh, wait, we're in Africa. We're blowing up shit, which is what we do. Anyway, man. Bingo. Military seeks authorization for endless wars at their sole discretion. I mean, dude, break this down.
Yeah,
this is stupid.
Right. Yeah, and this is what truly should have been trending yesterday as far as national discussion, right? So yesterday on the Hill, Secretary of Defense James Mattis, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson testified before the Senate Foreign Relations in regards to the War Authorization Act of 2001 and 2002. Let me repeat that: 2001 and 2002. Now, Congress and the Senate are saying, you know what? Maybe it's time that we revisit these. But needless to say, and this article sums it up the best, that basically what the administration is saying is that for Senate to make any decision, that they should leave that up to the executive office solely based upon the military. And I'm very thankful for senators like Rand Paul to call him out on this. And his quote unquote, which is surprising and worries, though, is that it seems like they also argue that they have virtually unlimited power to initiate and to execute war. And that's where the real problem comes from. So Tillerson and Mattis are saying, well, even if you do pass a new one, we should keep the old one in place just so we can continue these wars that have went on forever. Rand Paul was
Yep.
quick to remind them that the United States, under the AUMFV, that's the War Authorization Act, the U.S., because of that, is already in 34 countries. Let's stop with this madness. Let's bring our troops home. Let's focus here on our infrastructure, on the things to do besides give the neocons, these warmongers, the industrial military complex, let's reel these powers back in. This should have been the topic of national discussion yesterday, not all these distractions that are occurring everywhere, V.
Yep. Exactly correct, my man. Exactly correct. And this is and that's the issue. We are literally going the way. Okay, we are literally going the way of every other empire. We're going into these military ventures. We're all about. I mean, think about look at the great obsession point of us as the dawn sets on the American empire. America will continue to live on, but it won't be this recognized, disgusting, putrid of a mess, of a cesspool that it has become. America will move on, and I believe the next America that will rise out of the ashes of this piece of shit is going to be a more libertarian America. It's going to be a more right of center America, and thank God for that. Okay, I'm not talking about some extreme right wing America. I'm just talking about a more common sense approach, a more pragmatic America. At least that's my hope and prayer. Now, with that being said, look at where we are right now. We are a country that is over sexualized. Okay, just like how Rome was before Rome fell. We are overdriven by identity politics, just like how Rome was. We are we celebrate all the gluttonies and all the what is the word I'm looking for? All the rot of civilization, so to speak, just as how Rome was before they collapsed. We're not going on a good pattern. The least thing we can do that would really help is to squash this authorization of military force nonsense. Okay, this perpetual authorization nonsense, and reel it back in. That's the best thing we can do, because empires go broke doing this. They literally go broke, and we need to stop this. If we don't stop this, we're going to go to the way of Rome, and that, my friend, is going to be a terrible thing for most people. Actually, it's a good thing. I think we need to go the way of Rome. CJ, I'm going to reiterate what I said. We need to collapse. We need to go the way of Rome. You know why? It's not because it's good, not because it's bad. It's necessary at this point. We need to purge out the BS that's been festering in our nation for the last several decades. It needs a purge.
Bingo.
Anyway, man.
Yeah, let's close it out there, because we do have some exciting announcements to share, V.
Yep, go ahead, brother.
Okay, number one, before I forget, make sure you to visit roguemoney.net. Great article yesterday put out by Bankster Slayer titled Trick or Treat, Tony Podesta, where she does break down specifically exactly what we said today regarding the fact that Republicans and Democrats are alike are being taken out. So check that out. And at Rogue Money, we do celebrate Trick or Treat. So for our listeners, we are giving you a treat today. Are you ready for this, V?
Yes, I want the sweetness.
Here we go. Here we go, listeners. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, less than 30 minutes. We are going live with Dave from the X22 Report and X22 Spotlight. Dave will be joining V and I for an hour interview with him. So we're very excited about that, to give that to our listeners as a treat on this Halloween.
There you go. There you go. And with that being said, folks, I am the Gorilla. He is the master of the flux capacitor. And we are roguemoney.net. Check us out. Subscribe, hit the like button, the like button, and the notification bell. With that being said, CJ, we're over and out. Take it away, buddy.